The moment we open our eyes in the morning, something powerful begins to unfold. For many, the day starts with a rush anxiety wrapped in silence, thoughts darting between responsibilities, regrets, and worries. But what if, just what if, we could choose to greet the day differently, not with dread, but with love, not with tension, but with intention? What if the first thing we whispered to ourselves wasn't a complaint, but compassion? There's a chain that holds many people down before they even leave their bed. It's invisible, but heavy. Guilt from yesterday, pressure for today, fear of tomorrow. That chain, it can be loosened, and the key isn't productivity or control. It's love, a deep, steady love for yourself, for the life you're in, even for the struggles you've yet to understand. Each morning, before the world touches you, you have a choice. Will you greet this day with a heart that remembers its wounds, or one that's willing to forgive? That forgiveness doesn't always need to be for others. Sometimes, it's simply telling yourself you're allowed to start again. Have you ever noticed how some mornings feel heavier than others? How a memory, a date, or even a smell can trigger a sorrow you thought was buried? That's no coincidence. The heart remembers what the clock forgets. And in those moments, the most radical thing you can do is pause and choose love again, even if it feels distant. There are many who start their days without a whisper of gratitude or hope, not because they don't care, but because they've forgotten how. Maybe life hit too hard. Maybe someone they trusted stopped showing love. And so, they learn to wake up numb. But love doesn't demand grand gestures. Sometimes, it begins with a breath, a quiet prayer, even if you're not sure who's listening. Every single morning, there's an invisible fork in the road. One path is fear safe, familiar, but narrow. The other is love vulnerable, uncertain, but free. And though fear may seem easier to follow, love offers the only path that leads to peace. It's never too late to choose it. You know that feeling when you stare into the mirror, but don't really see yourself? When your eyes meet their own reflection and you feel like a stranger's looking back, that's when love is needed most. Not the love from others, the love from within. A moment to say, you're not perfect, but you are worthy, you are enough for today. Morning routines don't need to be complicated to be sacred. A warm cup of coffee held with both hands, a single ray of sun slipping through the curtain, a moment of silence before the phone lights up. These aren't empty rituals, they're small altars, and every one of them is a chance to love yourself with presence. Words shape more than just conversations, they shape atmospheres. The way you speak to yourself in the morning sets the tone for everything. Are your words bitter, rushed, cold, or are they kind, encouraging, gentle? Speak like someone who believes in the life ahead. Speak like someone who cares. Before we go on, I'd like to ask you something. How have *you* been greeting your days? With love, with pressure, with numbness? Share in the comments how your mornings feel. Sometimes, a few words can open up a doorway for someone else. Your story matters. Let me take a second to thank you, truly, for being here, for watching this far, for choosing to invest in this quiet space of reflection. The best parts of this journey are still ahead, and they're not just about ideas, they're about transformation. Sometimes, the most powerful act of love is found in stillness, when you hold back from reacting, from rushing, from fixing, when you simply allow the moment to be what it is, a silent sunrise, a bird crossing the sky, your own breath, steady and soft. Love speaks loudest in these quiet moments, and when you embrace them, you begin to feel held by something greater than yourself. The world celebrates bold love, romantic, expressive, dramatic, but there's another kind. The kind that walks quietly through a room and leaves it better. The kind that listens more than it speaks. The kind that folds a blanket, washes a dish, writes a note. That's the kind of love that changes everything, not because it's loud, but because it's consistent. There's something sacred about the ability to accept what you cannot control, not with defeat, but with grace. Some things won't go your way. Some people won't say sorry. Some outcomes won't make sense, but none of that has to steal your peace. When you meet life on its terms with love instead of resistance, you remain rooted, no matter how strong the storm. Think about the last time you truly felt light, not just physically, but emotionally. What if that lightness wasn't tied to external events, but internal choices? Choosing not to hold that grudge, choosing to laugh at yourself, choosing to stop carrying things that were never yours. Love gives us permission to release, to breathe, to walk lighter through the world. You might not realize it, but the way you love yourself teaches others how to love you. When you speak kindly to your own heart, others will notice. When you treat yourself with dignity, you invite others to do the same. Your relationship with yourself is not private, it echoes. It ripples. It teaches, and it starts each morning. Anger has many masks. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it shows up as sarcasm. Sometimes it hides in exhaustion. But beneath it, there's almost always a wound that never healed. A part of you still asking, am I safe? Am I seen? Am I loved? When we learn to greet even our anger with love, we begin the real work of healing. You've likely heard it before. Listen with your heart. But what does that truly mean? It means hearing what someone is an saying. It means picking up on the tension behind their words. It means being fully present. No distractions, no judgment, just presence. When you give someone that, even for a few seconds, you're offering something holy. We underestimate the power of simply being there. In a world that celebrates doing, being often feels too passive, but love shows up in presence. Sitting quietly next to someone, watching over a sleeping child, picking up the phone when you'd rather rest. Love doesn't always speak. Sometimes it just stays. Forgiveness is one of the hardest and most necessary forms of love. It doesn't excuse. It doesn't forget, but it sets you free. Carrying resentment is like dragging a heavy bag through every morning. And every time you choose to let it go, you walk a little lighter, a little freer, a little closer to who you were always meant to be. There are moments when life gently reminds us that we are not alone. A stranger holds the door. A friend texts out of the blue. A child smiles for no reason. These aren't coincidences. They are whispers. Whispers that love is still at work, that no matter how heavy your morning may be, grace still finds its way in. Rest is not a reward. It is a necessity. Somewhere along the way, we began to associate rest with laziness and hustle with worth. But the heart needs pauses. The soul needs stillness. And the body, it needs sleep. To greet the day with love, you must first learn to stop glorifying exhaustion. Rest is how we return to ourselves. There are habits we carry each morning that belong to an older version of ourselves. Reactions passed down from people who didn't know better. Beliefs shaped by wounds rather than truth. When you start your day with love, you give yourself permission to break those patterns, to question them, to rewrite them, and to build a life that fits who you're becoming, not who you were. Loving yourself isn't about bubble baths and candles, though those are nice. It's about choosing what is right over what is easy. About saying no when it would be more comfortable to say yes. About keeping promises to yourself. That kind of discipline is love in its strongest form, and it grows stronger every morning you choose it. There will be days when love feels pointless, when your efforts go unseen, when kindness is met with silence. In those moments, you'll be tempted to shut down, to match cold with cold, but don't. Keep loving. Keep choosing the higher road, because even when it feels like no one sees, you do. And that integrity will carry you farther than approval ever could. Faith is love's anchor, not blind optimism, but a steady belief that there is more unfolding than what your eyes can see. That every morning you choose love, you're planting seeds even in the dark, and one day, in the quietest of ways, they will bloom. Trust the process, even when it's slow, even when it's silent. Chaos will knock at your door, sometimes gently, sometimes like a storm, but even in the middle of that chaos, there's something unshakable. Gratitude, the choice to notice what remains instead of only what's lost. The ability to say, this is hard, but I'm still here. That's love in action. That's strength in disguise. We often wait for others to change before we open our hearts. But the truth is, the person who holds the key to transformation is you. The way you choose to love, to forgive, to respond is never really about them. It's about who you become when you act from love rather than from fear. Pain is a part of love's journey. It's not always soft or easy. There are moments when love requires us to stay, even when it hurts. Not to tolerate harm, but to sit with discomfort. To stay with ourselves through grief, loss, uncertainty. This kind of love is not about escape, it's about presence through the fire. Failure is not the opposite of love. In fact, loving yourself through failure may be the greatest test. When things fall apart, when dreams collapse, when plans backfire, can you still say, I'm worthy? Can you still greet the day with hope? Failure doesn't define you. How you respond to it does. Every act of love is a seed. Every word, every pause, every boundary. And though you may not see the harvest today, it is growing, slowly, quietly, underground. Keep planting, keep believing. The roots are deepening, the soil is preparing, and in time, you will see how even the smallest act of morning love can grow into something mighty. Peace is not found in the absence of noise, but in the presence of love. It's not about silencing the world, but about quieting the war within. And when you greet the day with love, peace begins to rise not as a concept, but as a feeling, a stillness that walks beside you, even when the outside world keeps spinning. There's something powerful about how you choose to end your day. Many carry the weight of regrets into the night, replay conversations, count their failures. But what if you ended the day the way you began it, with love? What if you forgave yourself before closing your eyes? Release what wasn't meant to follow you into tomorrow. Each sunrise is a subtle invitation, a reminder that you are still here, that your story isn't over, and that yesterday's mistakes are not today. It's identity. To greet the morning with love is to honor this invitation, to say, I'm not finished yet. I still believe in redemption. There's a sacred quiet in the early hours, before traffic, before emails, before the world demands something from you. In that space, love whispers. It invites you to pause, to breathe, to remember that your worth is not measured by how much you accomplish, but by how much you feel alive while doing it. Love isn't always loud or poetic. Sometimes it looks like brushing your teeth, making your bed, drinking water, showing up to a day you don't feel ready for. These aren't small things. They are vows. Vows to care for yourself, even when it would be easier to check out. That's love. Unnoticed, maybe, but not insignificant. You will meet resistance externally and within. Old beliefs will rise. That will speak. But when you meet that resistance with love, you disarm it. You take its power away. You show yourself that no voice, no past, no fear is stronger than a heart that chooses love. Joy is not found at the end of the journey. It's found in moments, tiny, ordinary moments. A smile that wasn't forced, a breeze on your skin, a memory that makes you laugh out loud. These are the fingerprints of love, reminding you that beauty still exists, even here, even now. Comparison steals joy. It tells you your life is missing something, that you're behind, that you're less. But love reminds you that your pace is perfect, that your life, messy as it may feel, is still yours, still sacred, still unfolding exactly as it needs to. There will be people who don't understand your choice to lead with love, who call it weakness, who say you're naive. Let them talk. Love is not weakness, it is strength that doesn't need to prove itself. It's courage that doesn't require applause. Keep choosing it. Not for them, for you. The more love you give, the more love you become. It doesn't run out. It expands, and as it grows within you, it begins to spill over into your words, your actions, your silence, until eventually, the love you carry becomes the atmosphere around you and others. Breathe it in without even realizing. You don't need to chase love. You become it every time you respond with patience, every time you choose forgiveness, every time you see someone's pain and don't turn away. Love is not something you find, it's something you grow. And when you nurture it daily, it becomes your nature. The way you speak to yourself when no one is listening, that's where transformation begins. The world may not hear it, but your soul does. And when those words shift from criticism to compassion, from shame to gentleness, everything around you begins to change. Even if nothing outside has moved, letting go isn't failure. It's faith. Faith that something better is ahead. Faith that you are not defined by what you've lost. Faith that when your hands are empty, they are finally ready to receive something new. Love teaches us not to cling, but to trust. There will be mornings when everything feels heavy again, when love seems far and old fears feel closer. Don't be discouraged. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. It means the work is real. On those mornings, go back to the breath, to the mirror, to the whisper. I will greet this day with love in my heart. Sometimes, the people we struggle to love are the ones who need it most. And sometimes, that person is ourselves. In those moments, love becomes a decision, not an emotion, a sacred promise to keep showing up, even when it's hard. Growth isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like fewer arguments, softer words, more silence, more grace. You may not notice it right away, but if you keep choosing love, you'll realize the old version of you wouldn't have handled things this way. That's progress. That's healing. Kindness is a revolution. In a world numbed by distraction and speed, stopping to see someone to asterisk really asterisk see them is an act of defiance. Let your love be rebellious. Let it interrupt routines. Let it soften walls. Let it remind the world that there's still something pure out there. Love doesn't guarantee easy days. It guarantees meaningful ones. And as you move through both joy and sorrow, ease and struggle, you'll realize the point was never to escape pain, but to face it with a stronger heart. A heart shaped by love, not fear. You are not too late, not too broken, not too small. Every day is a doorway. Every morning is mercy. Every sunrise is a chance to begin again. And all it takes is one quiet commitment to greet this day with love. No matter what yesterday looked like, so now, the day is yours. How will you greet it? With worry or with wonder, with dread or with devotion? The choice is in your hands. The words are on your lips. Speak them gently. Let them echo through your actions. And remember, when love is in your heart, the world will notice, even if you never say a word.